The German Tiger II, also known as the King Tiger, stood as a symbol of both engineering ambition and the logistical challenges of late war Germany. Today we're taking a deep dive into the history, service, and complete specifications of this legendary heavy tank. From the drawing board to the battlefield, we'll uncover why the Tiger II has become one of the most iconic armored vehicles of the 20th century. As always, I hope you enjoy. By late 1942, the German High Command realized that the original Tiger I was no longer enough to dominate the battlefield. The Soviet T-34 and KV series tanks had pushed German engineers to develop something more advanced, with thicker armor, more firepower, and improved protection through sloped designs. Thus began development on what would become the Tiger II. Designed by Henschel and with armor and turret components from Krupp, the Tiger II combined the protection of the Panther's sloped armor with the raw firepower of an 88mm cannon, even more powerful than the gun used in the Tiger I. Initially, two prototypes were considered, one from Henschel and one from Porsche. The first 50 Tiger IIs actually used a turret designed by Porsche. However, the so-called Porsche turret had a major flaw. Its curved shape created a shot trap where incoming rounds could deflect downward into the hole. The rest of the production run, over 400 vehicles, used the Henschel designed turret, which eliminated the shot trap and improved armor angles overall. Production officially began in January 1944, but Germany's strained industrial capacity and relentless Allied bombing created huge bottlenecks. Only 492 Tiger IIs were produced by war's end in May 1945, far fewer than they had hoped for. The tanks were mainly assigned to heavy tank battalions. These units saw action on both the eastern and western fronts, where Tiger IIs often held key strategic points, defended against armored thrusts and conducted counterattacks. But despite its battlefield prowess, the Tiger II often had more to fear from Allied bombers, broken supply chains, and muddy terrain than it did from enemy tanks. Let's take a moment to break down the Tiger II's technical specifications. The tank weighed a staggering 70 tons. Measured 10.28 meters in length, including the gun, 3.76 meters in width, and stood 3.09 meters tall. The armor thickness was unbelievable at the time. The whole front had up to 150 millimeters of armor, the turret front up to 180, and the side armor was over 80 millimeters thick. Its main weapon was the 8.8 centimeter KWK-43L71 gun, a high-velocity cannon capable of penetrating even the most heavily armored Allied tanks at long range. For secondary armament, it carried two 7.92mm MG34 machine guns, one coaxial with the main gun and another in the hull. The engine was a Maybach HL230P30, producing 700 horsepower, and that was barely enough to move its massive frame, especially over rough terrain. Top road speed was about 38 kilometers per hour, and off-road it dropped significantly. The fuel range was about 170 kilometers on-road and 120 kilometers off-road. It required a crew of 5: commander, gunner, loader, driver, and radio operator / bow machine gunner. Despite its late arrival in the war and limited numbers, the Tiger II made an impression wherever it fought. On the Eastern Front from January to April 1945, German records claim that Tiger IIs destroyed over 500 enemy vehicles while losing only 45 of their own. This remarkable kill ratio highlights the tank's combat capability when it was running. On the Western Front, Tiger IIs famously saw action during the Battle of Normandy and the Battle of the Bulge, where they proved nearly impervious to frontal fire from American Sherman tanks. However, the Tiger II's performance was often limited by factors unrelated to combat. Mechanical breakdowns, fuel shortages, and difficulties with rail transport often left the tanks stranded or unable to even reach the battlefield. Even moving the Tiger II required careful planning. Bridges often couldn't support its weight, and many units had to rely on rail transport, which itself was a prime target for Allied bombers. It was not uncommon for units to abandon or destroy their own tanks simply because they couldn't recover or repair them. Despite its shortcomings, the Tiger II left a lasting legacy in armored warfare. Its sheer presence on the battlefield forced Allied commanders to rethink tactics. Pilots were often instructed to avoid direct engagement, and ground units were told to flank or call in airstrikes rather than confront it head-on. Today, only a handful of Tiger IIs survive. Among the most famous is the Tiger II on display in France, and another at the Bovington Tank Museum in the UK, which even runs its engine during special events. These survivors serve as a powerful reminder of Germany's ambitious, even if flawed, effort to create the ultimate battlefield weapon. In the end, the Tiger II is both a marvel and a cautionary tale. It proves that brute force alone isn't enough to win a war. Thank you for joining us as we explored the Tiger II, one of the World War II's most iconic and misunderstood machines. If you enjoyed the video and want to learn more about historic military technology, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss our next upload. Until next time,